Astonished, disappointed, and deeply troubled are my feelings after researching and exploring more than 100 black celebrities regarding the hidden corners behind their dazzling auras. Hello everyone, we are our Memory Vault, and this is the video 11 disgusting black female singers and actresses we were tricked into loving. This greatly affects the beautiful memories we once held for them, and it might leave you in shock. This video is suitable to play while resting, having meals with your family, and doing housework. All the information in this video has been researched and gathered by us from multiple sources. If there are any mistakes, please leave a comment below to help our channel grow further. Please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, and turn on the notification bell to receive updates on our earliest videos. Now, let us get straight to the first figures. Whitney Houston. Starting the list is a name that once moved millions of hearts. Whitney Houston. In the minds of audiences from our generation, she will forever remain the voice, the golden vocalist with a saintly appearance, a radiant smile, and the demeanor of a perfect pop princess. However, when the velvet curtains closed, the truth about Whitney's downward sliding life left the public in absolute dismay. Surrounded by toxic habits, she was constantly late, abruptly canceled performances, and appeared on stage in an unprofessional state. This downward spiral was not only a disregard for the audience, but also a harsh destruction of the priceless gift that nature had bestowed upon her. Private life scandals, indulgence in lifestyle, and uncontrolled statements gradually replaced the elegant image she had painstakingly built. Audiences paid to witness a legend, but what they received in return was sometimes merely an aimless, irritable star who had lost herself. From the perspective of our Memory Vault, the greatest disappointment lies not in an artist making mistakes, but in the fact that we were lulled by an image overly polished by the entertainment industry. We fell in love with a pure goddess, only to realize with astonishment that behind her was an individual who allowed dark corners to consume her talent. It was truly a spectacular deception by the media, leaving loyal fans with a sense of profound letdown and utmost regret. Diana Ross. Next is Diana Ross, the ultimate icon of glamour and power in the Motown music capital. Under the flashbulbs, she appeared as a magnificent, elegant queen, representing the finest and most flawless qualities of a performing artist. However, power often comes with authoritarianism, and Diana Ross is the clearest testament to this. Insiders and former associates have frequently revealed her haughty behavior, demanding that everyone around her refer to her as Miss Ross in a highly patronizing manner. Her coldness was most evident in how she treated the members of the Supremes, especially her suppression of her sisters to monopolize the spotlight. When things did not go her way, her outbursts of anger rained down on the crew, turning the studio into a massive nightmare. She was ready to cast aside the efforts of those who had supported her just to maintain her exclusive position. On a personal note, our channel believes that ambition is necessary to reach the top. But Diana Ross's callousness to the point of being cold completely shattered that beautiful image. We, the audience, happened to love a luxurious lady who sang enchanting lyrics, but we were deceived by a heart full of calculations and lacking in empathy. The feeling of betrayal arises when we realize that behind the glittering dress is an oversized ego, ignoring emotional bonds for personal fame. If Diana Ross's callousness has left you disappointed, then brace yourself, because the hidden corners of the Queen of Soul in the next position will surely keep your eyes glued to the screen. Aretha Franklin. Standing in the third position is the Queen of Soul, Aretha Franklin. Her voice is not merely a musical legacy, but also the powerful voice of a generation, demanding respect and representing the profound, soulful beauty of women. Nevertheless, her greatness on stage concealed a highly contradictory and sometimes petty personality behind the scenes. Aretha was notorious for her underlying insecurity and her intense habit of envying young talents. She was willing to cancel shows at the last minute for trivial reasons, leaving organizers and fans in a state of dismay. Furthermore, the persistent financial disputes with her own trusted musicians exposed an extremely pragmatic side. Her haughty attitude and readiness to isolate and belittle colleagues she viewed as threats made many who once worked with her shudder and shake their heads in weariness. The view of our Memory Vault is this. It is deeply ironic when an artist who sings the anthem of respect frequently strips it away from her own associates. We were mesmerized by a magical voice, believing her soul was as forgiving and magnificent as those very lyrics. Discovering an Aretha full of calculations, jealousy, and sometimes behaving without basic human kindness is truly a shock, significantly fracturing the monument we had painstakingly built in our minds for so long. Billie Holiday. The fourth name that brings much heartache is the jazz legend Billie Holiday. With a gardenia flower pinned in her hair and a sorrowful, haunting voice, she became an icon of elegance and melancholy, touching the deepest corners of the souls of music lovers from previous generations. But if we peel back that poetic outer shell, Billie's real life was a series of dead-end, self-destructive decisions that left fans outraged, yet helpless. Immersing herself in misguided lifestyles and constantly getting involved in toxic relationships was not only a personal tragedy, but also directly affected her professional attitude. Audiences paid money to hear her sing, but on many occasions, they had to witness an artist standing on stage in a state of lost control, forgetting lyrics and acting irresponsibly. Legal scandals and court appearances completely devastated the image of a proud lady, replacing it with an indulgence that is hard to justify. We understand that the harsh environment of that era had a significant impact, but we cannot deny the disappointment of seeing a talent actively give up. We, the audience, fell in love with an image that romanticized suffering, only to feel deceived when realizing her lack of willpower and her attitude of turning her back on her own career. This naked truth truly crushed the faith of anyone who once worshipped the fragile yet artistic beauty of Billie Holiday. Nina Simone. Closing the first part of the list is Nina Simone, who is known as the High Priestess of Soul. With a profound classical music foundation and the ability to express intense emotions, she was celebrated as a courageous goddess, possessing intellect and charisma beyond ordinary people. Sadly, behind that genius mind was a fierce temperament, arrogant to the point of being ruthless. Nina Simone did not hesitate to show her disdain for the audience right on stage. At just a small noise or a whisper, she was ready to stop the performance, point her finger, curse severely, and expel fans from the venue. This imperious attitude did not stop at words. History has recorded times when she lost her composure, venting her anger on furniture and backstage staff when displeased. The extremism in her personality made the working environment around her constantly suffocating and intensely stressful, pushing those who loved her far away. From the perspective of our memory vault, using the excuse of an artistic personality to justify rudeness and a lack of respect for the public is unacceptable for a legend. We walked into the auditorium with admiration for a sublime intellect, only to cower before an authoritarian and bitter ego. This disillusionment is immense. We realize we were lulled by her masterful piano keys, only to swallow a bitter pill when facing the thorny and somewhat callous personality of this talented artist. We are only halfway through our journey, and the most shocking truths are still hidden ahead. Do not leave just yet, because the next name will shake every bit of faith and adoration you once held for them. Etta James. The sixth figure on our list is Etta James, an immortal monument of rhythm and blues music. For audiences over 45, her classic song, At Last, is the eternal love anthem, the melody played at millions of weddings symbolizing the most complete and fulfilling love. The public painted a beautiful portrait of a woman with a romantic, deep soul, possessing a voice capable of healing all heartaches. However, the truth behind the scenes was a chaotic picture full of contradictions. Etta James was notorious among promoters for her lack of professionalism and extremely erratic working attitude. She frequently let negative emotions dictate her work, leading to lateness and sudden schedule cancellations without regard for the consequences. Even more disappointingly, audiences often had to witness their idol step onto the stage in a far from sober state of mind, forgetting lyrics and making inappropriate statements. Associates working with her always had to live in anxiety and apprehension, never knowing what absurd reason their queen would throw a tantrum over that day. This capriciousness exhausted the entire crew and deeply hurt those who went out of their way to buy tickets to see her perform. From the perspective of the Our Memory Vault channel, this is an irony filled with a heartbreaking aftertaste. We were deceived by sweet melodies, immersed in the illusion of a soul overflowing with love, only to realize that the artist lacked the minimum respect for her own audience and career. Mature audiences always value dedication and credibility. Therefore, witnessing a musical monument indulge and lose her self-worth is truly an immensely disappointing experience. Chaka Khan. Standing in the 7th position is Chaka Khan, acclaimed by the world as the Queen of Funk. With her wild, voluminous hair, explosive energy, and soaring vocals, she is the symbol of freedom and female empowerment through her hit I'm Every Woman. In the eyes of the public, especially the generation that was once enthusiastic about the music of the 70s and 80s, she appeared as a powerful, approachable goddess who always gave her all for art. However, the blinding flashbulbs could not hide the severe diva complex of this female singer. The biggest complaint from both the media and fans is Chaka Khan's deeply ingrained habit of arriving late. There were concert nights where she left thousands of loyal audience members waiting wearily for 3 or 4 hours in utter exhaustion without any proper explanation or apology. Behind the scenes, her attitude toward the audio and lighting staff as well as the fans was often very haughty and cold. She viewed everyone's patient waiting for her as a matter of course, an inviolable privilege of a top superstar, completely ignoring the sweat and effort of the silent workers behind the success of the show. The Our Memory Vault channel asserts that talent is never a free pass for insolence. The audience's expectations for Chaka Khan were too high, so upon witnessing that arrogance and selfishness, their faith completely collapsed. We thought we were admiring a liberal, generous woman, but in reality, we were enduring an individual who placed her personal ego above all values of time and respect. That is exactly an image deception that the media took great pains to mold. Eartha Kitt. The 8th name will certainly make many people ponder, and that is Eartha Kitt. She is famous for her mesmerizing role as Catwoman and is the owner of the classic Christmas track Santa Baby. Audiences of that era adored Eartha for her sharp beauty, aristocratic demeanor, and rare confidence. She was the embodiment of independence, elegance, and a deadly charm that any woman longed to possess. However, the line between confidence and excessive pride is extremely fragile, and Eartha Kitt crossed that line multiple times. On film sets and in recording studios, she was famous for being a highly difficult and sharp-tongued woman. Eartha frequently made demands that were strict to the point of being unreasonable, requiring everyone to serve her like royalty. She did not hesitate to use words as sharp as razor blades to demean colleagues, directors, or anyone who went against her wishes. Her massive ego created an immense sense of suffocation for the crew, making many reputable producers of that time hesitant and even causing them to blacklist her because they could not bear a personality that was overly authoritarian and always considered itself the center of the universe. Under the lens of Our Memory Vault, Eartha Kitt's story is a valuable lesson in behavior. Mature audiences can admire resilience, but they can never agree with a domineering attitude. We believed we were loving a proud, elegant goddess, but behind that flawless mask was a cold personality ready to trample on the emotions of others. This truth has tarnished many beautiful memories that the audience once held for her glorious on-screen image. Grace Jones. The 9th position calls the name of Grace Jones a fashion and music icon with a unique avant-garde style. With her edgy androgynous appearance and deep, rich voice, she shattered all stereotypes, becoming an artistic monument worshipped by the elite and the public alike. Her music and her image always represented breakthroughs, unlimited creativity, and the courage to dare to be different. But that difference, when pushed to the extreme in real life, became a nightmare for those around her. Grace Jones is famous for her incredibly bizarre backstage demands and her open contempt for staff. She was willing to make the crew wait for hours simply because she hadn't found the right mood or refused to go on stage if the smallest demands regarding the dressing room were not met precisely down to the millimeter. Grace often used the excuse of the eccentricity of a genius to justify her substandard behavior, viewing the ordinary workers in the crew as inferiors. Her habit of seeing herself as a transcendent entity, standing above all common social principles, made countless people who collaborated with her shake their heads in weariness. We at our Memory Vault believe that true art never equates to a lack of respect for the human dignity of others. You, the audience, were once mesmerized by a groundbreaking brave artist image, only to realize with shock that it was merely a cover for extreme vanity and selfishness. We were deceived by the concept of artistic personality, while the core essence was a lack of compassion and appreciation for the silent individuals who contributed to her very success. Lauryn Hill. The 10th figure is an infinite regret named Lauryn Hill. When the album The Miseducation of Lauryn Hill was released, she was hailed as the moral voice of an entire generation. Her lyrics contained wisdom, altruism, humility, and profound reflections on human life. The public, especially adults, viewed her as a beacon of authenticity, a rare artist untainted by the pragmatism of the entertainment industry. However, what unfolded in the many years that followed was a direct slap to the faith of her fans. The female artist who sang about love and empathy became the most notorious figure for lateness, frequently appearing 2 to 4 hours late compared to the show's schedule. When she did appear, she performed arrangements so unfamiliar that the audience could not recognize the songs they once loved with an indifferent, listless attitude. Behind the scenes, she imposed absurd rules, such as forbidding musicians from looking directly into her eyes and demanding that everyone address her by the distant title of Ms. Hill. This disregard for the time, money, and affection of her fans demonstrated an alarming megalomania. The perspective of our Memory Vault is very clear. The worst betrayal does not come from those who inherently have a bad image, but from the person who constantly preaches morality. We were deceived by profound verses and a saintly facade. Realizing that the person who once represented spiritual awakening is someone who disregards the basic values of kindness and discipline has left an infinitely empty void of disappointment. It was a perfect but fragile illusion that shattered before the harsh truth. Millie Jackson. Closing today's list is the 11th figure female singer, Millie Jackson. For audiences who loved 1970s soul music, she possessed a powerful and smooth voice. At that time, the public expected black artists to have a dignified, graceful, and truly elegant demeanor. Millie was initially expected to continue that beautiful tradition, bringing melodies that soothe the refined soul. However, completely contrary to that splendor, she deliberately broke all standards. Millie consciously chose her own path, turning performances into monologues filled with vulgar, disproportionate language. Her albums constantly shocked public opinion with provocative imagery, accompanied by unacceptably crude lyrics. She ignored all boundaries, turning the stage into a place to display her wild ego, regardless of the astonishment and fierce opposition from her most loyal fans. Through the lens of the Our Memory Vault channel, this is a painful testament to compromising art. We were tricked by the cover of a soul artist only to face the blatant destruction of beautiful traditional cultural values. A bitter feeling rushes back when faith is trampled upon, making musical memories suddenly become distorted. It is truly saddening because these cheap gimmicks have permanently stolen a priceless image, leaving behind so much sorrowful regret for the audience. Through this video, we hope you have gained a more profound and multidimensional perspective on the true price of fame. We realize that behind the glittering and flawless facade of idols sometimes lie souls containing many flaws. The Our Memory Vault channel wishes you moments of relaxation, joy, and peace with your family. Do not forget to hit the subscribe button, like the video, and turn on the notification bell so you won't miss our next interesting nostalgic stories. Goodbye, and see you again.